Welcome in, everyone. Ready to dive deep into spiritual sensitivity?
Always ready for this stuff.
We're dissecting this excerpt. It's from a longer text, but gets right to the heart of refining that sensitivity we all kind of have.
Yeah,
It's like we're already good, but gotta get great,
exactly. Not starting from scratch. It's more like,
leveling up.
there you go.
So, first things first, awareness. Noticing things, our breath, the little physical stuff, even just what we see around us.
But see, that's where it gets tricky.
Yeah.
We're so bombarded with input these days, right?
Oh, tell me about it.
This text is saying real awareness. It's like filtering all that OUT so we can feel the subtler stuff, the energy most of us miss.
Okay, but how do we? We're always on. How do we even start to filter?
That's where meditation comes in. And not the typical empty your mind thing.
Oh.
It's deeper. Full presence, your whole body.
Yeah.
Like a diver, getting sensitive to the currents underwater, the pressure.
Okay, I think I get it. We quiet ourselves down so the subtle senses can actually speak UP.
Precisely. And there's science backing this up. Studies show when you meditate regularly, it changes your brain.
No way, really?
Yeah. The parts that handle our senses, attention. It's like rewiring to be more receptive.
So it's not just some woo-woo idea, there's actual proof.
There is. Which makes it even cooler, right?
Totally. But one thing that stuck with me, this isn't just about us being sensitive, it's about dot connection.
That's it. If awareness is step one, empathy's the bridge. We start by feeling our own energy. Then, as we get better, we sense it in others, how everything's linked.
So not just feeling sorry for someone, it's...
Deeper. Science shows we're wired for it. Mirror neurons in our brains fire when we see someone else feeling something, we kind of echo it.
Whoa, like a biological thing.
Exactly. The more sensitive we get spiritually, the more tuned in to those echoes we are. Like our empathy muscle gets stronger.
I like that, empathy muscle.
The text uses this great image. The sun shines on everything no matter what, right? Can we be that compassionate, that open?
Powerful stuff, but honestly, if I'm feeling all that energy, good and maybe bad, won't I get overloaded?
Good point. And that's where discernment comes in. It's like a compass, guides you through all that energetic back and forth.
The inner compass, okay.
And it's not about judging good or bad. It's seeing clearly what's the real meaning behind what we feel.
So how do we develop that? The text calls it X-ray vision, which sounds cool, but...
It comes back to awareness. The more we watch our own thoughts, feelings, even just body sensations, we spot patterns.
Patterns.
Yeah, how certain people make us feel, what thoughts trigger certain emotions.
Oh, so we pay attention inside, and that shows us the connections in our experiences. It's not random, there's meaning.
Yes. And as we get better at spotting those patterns, we can choose where to put our energy, who we spend time with, even what situations we get into.
So we're not just along for the ride, we can kind of steer a bit.
Exactly. We become the architects of our own experience. But got to be careful not to overthink it, right?
Oh yeah, get stuck in our heads trying to puzzle it all out.
And that's where intuition balances things out. Our heads can get so busy figuring stuff out, we lose touch with that gut feeling, the inner knowing.
Okay, so it's like head and heart got to work together.
Exactly. The text talks about being fluent in the language of intuition. It's not words, it's more.
What, like feelings, sudden ideas?
Yes. Those aha moments, that strong urge to do something, even if you don't know why.
I've had those. But how do I know it's intuition, not just me wishing something was true? How do you trust it?
It takes practice. You got to pay attention to those nudges, see what happens when you follow them.
Like an experiment.
Kind of. Did it turn out well? Did it feel good, aligned with who you are, your goals? The more you do that, the more you trust your gut.
This reminds me of those meaningful coincidences, synchronicities, right? Like it's all connected somehow.
Yes. Synchronicities, those are like dot wings from the universe. Not random at all when you think about it.
Part of a bigger plan.
Exactly. Cosmic dance. Okay, so we're aware, we're getting empathic, making good choices, trusting our gut. If we're feeling all that energy, all the world stuff, the good, the bad, won't it be overwhelming?
Right, that's what I was thinking.
That's why the text talks about grounding.
Like literally grounding to the earth.
Literally. It's about connecting to that earth energy, feeling rooted like a tree, no matter what's swirling around you.
So how do we do that? Sounds kind of out there.
They suggest visualizing. Imagine roots growing from your feet, deep down anchoring you. Feel that solidness under you, always there.
Like I can do that right now.
You can. It's about remembering. We're not separate from nature. We're part of it, all connected.
That feeling of being rooted makes sense, especially if we're getting more sensitive.
It does. And as that sensitivity grows, So does our capacity for love,
Hmm.
which is a whole other level of powerful.
Love. Yeah, it's not just romantic love. This is something bigger, right?
Much bigger. The text calls it pure love, accepting everything, seeing the good in everybody no matter what.
Sounds almost impossible. How do we even start to love like that?
It starts with ourselves. You can't truly love others until you love you. Not ego love, but deep respect, like you deserve it.
Love ourselves first. Makes sense, but it's harder than it sounds.
It is. And then there's this idea of meeting people where they're at, no judgment, not trying to change them.
Accepting them as they are.
Exactly. Everyone's on their own path. We don't get to force our ideas on them. That's true compassion.
Wow. So this sensitivity thing, it's like a balancing act. Open but grounded, feeling but also thinking clearly.
Exactly. The more we do it, the better we get at that dance.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. Awareness, empathy, being smart about it, trusting our gut, staying grounded, and now love you, Eve. It's a lot.
It is. But they're all woven together, these parts of spiritual sensitivity.
Pieces of a puzzle.
Exactly. But as we get better at this, as our awareness opens up, what else becomes possible? That's what I'm wondering.
Great question. And that's where things get really interesting. The more sensitive we are, the more we pick up on those little whispers from the universe, those connections between everything. It's like we're learning a whole new way to see the world.
That's it. And there are signs along the way, messages, things that happen that aren't just random, they're guiding us.
Like what kind of signs? I'm getting chills just thinking about it.
Well, that's what we're going to explore next time. We'll dive deeper into this text and see what else we can uncover about how to really live this spiritual sensitivity stuff. It's not just theory. It's about putting it into action.
I am so ready for that. But before we get ahead of ourselves, listeners, think about what's hit home for you so far. What's got you curious? We'll be back with even more next time and see how all this can change our lives, not just our thinking.
It's wild, right? The more we tune into those whispers, the more we realize how much power our intention has.
Yeah, the text really hammered that home. Like, intention is the force behind everything, even if we don't see it.
It called it the architect of reality,
Mm,
which is a pretty intense image. But it makes you think, if intention is that strong, we better be careful with it.
right. Oh, absolutely. But how do we even do that? How do we make sure we're using that power for good, not, you know, messing things up?
It starts with getting clear,
Hmm.
truly understanding what we want deep down.
Like our real desires, not just what we think we should want.
Exactly. Sometimes our intentions get all jumbled up with ego or what society tells us we should be aiming for.
Oh, I know that feeling for sure. Trying to keep up with everyone else.
The text says we got to sift through all that noise, connect with what our soul truly wants. That's the real question.
Okay, so we figure out the WHY behind the what, but then what? We just set the intention and hope for the best.
There's definitely an element of surrender, yeah.
Surrender, like giving up control.
Not giving up, more like
Trusting
trusting what?
the process. Think of it like planting a seed. You do all the right things, soil, water, sunlight, but then you got to trust that the seed knows what to do.
Oh, I see. We do our part, but we also acknowledge there's bigger forces at work, things we can't control entirely.
Exactly. Action and allowing, working together. That makes me think of patience, which we talked about earlier. Trusting that things happen when they're supposed to, not when we want them to.
You got it. Divine timing, the text calls it.
Divine timing. It's a nice thought, but hard to actually live by sometimes.
It is. Speaking of things that are hard but important, reading this made me realize how crucial gratitude is.
Oh, yeah, that came up a lot, like it was some kind of secret key.
It kind of is.
Yeah.
Gratitude is the opposite of feeling like you don't have enough.
Scarcity. That's what the text called it.
Right. When we focus on what we're missing, we just attract more lack.
Makes sense. Like we're sending that I don't have enough vibe out into the universe.
Exactly. But when we focus on what we do have, even the little things, it shifts our whole energy.
Like, hey, universe, I'm good over here. Send more of that.
That's it. It's about tuning into abundance, realizing how much we already have.
And the text says to make it a practice, not just a once-in-a-while feeling.
Yeah. Start each day thinking about what you're grateful for, even if it's simple stuff.
A warm bed, a good cup of coffee.
Exactly. Those small things add up. You know what else helps with feeling that abundance?
What's that?
Nature. Seriously. Spending time outdoors, it's like hitting the reset button.
The text talked about that, like nature is a mirror showing us truth.
It is. When we're surrounded by nature, all the mental clutter quiets down. We connect to something bigger.
That feeling of being part of something vast, it's humbling in a good way.
Totally. It reminds us we're not the center of the universe.
Which can be a relief, honestly.
It is. And it also reminds us that we're connected not just to nature, but to each other.
That's a great point. The text talked about community being a huge part of spiritual growth.
It makes sense, right? We're social creatures. We need each other.
And when we find people who are on the same wavelength, it's like,
Magic. The text called it a collective tapestry of transformation.
ooh, like that.
Me too. Like each of us is a thread, but together we create something beautiful and strong to strong.
That feeling of belonging, of having people who get it, it can be so powerful.
Absolutely. It gives us courage, helps us stay on the path even when it gets tough.
But we can't rely on others all the time, right? We have to be able to stand on our own 2 feet, too.
You're right. Community's great, but the text emphasizes self-reliance too.
Like being responsible for our own W and growth.
Exactly. No one can do the work for us. We have to cultivate our own sensitivity, find our own path.
Makes sense. We can have all the support in the world, but ultimately it's up to us to take action.
It is, which is why it's so important to approach this whole thing with curiosity, a sense of play.
Play, like not taking ourselves too seriously.
Exactly. It's not about following rules. It's about exploring, experimenting, finding what works for you.
Like an adventure.
That's a great way to put it. And with any adventure, there are going to be ups and downs, moments of doubt, moments of clarity.
And the doubt, that's where we learn, right? It's not the enemy, it's a teacher.
Exactly. Remember we talked about reframing doubt? Instead of running from it, we listen to it, ask what it's trying to tell us.
It can be tough, though, especially when we're so used to wanting answers right now.
Or for sure. But the text reminds us some things just take time. Divine timing again.
Surrender. Easier said than done, but when it works, it's like magic.
It is. Like we can't force a flower to bloom. We just got to nurture it and trust the process.
Nurturing, trusting, it all comes back to faith, doesn't it? Believing that things are working out even when we can't see the proof.
It does. And the more we practice that faith, the more evidence we see in our lives.
Those synchronicities, the right place, right time moments. It's like the universe is winking at us.
It is. And the more sensitive we get, the more we notice those winks, those connections between everything.
But that also means we become more aware of the impact our actions have, right?
Absolutely. The text is clear about that. The more sensitive we are, the more responsible we become.
Like our choices matter, our words matter, our energy matters.
It all matters. And with that awareness comes a deeper sense of purpose, a desire to make a positive difference.
It's inspiring, but also a bit daunting.
It is. But think of it this way. We're not alone in this. We have each other. We have the support of the universe.
And we have this incredible wisdom, these tools to help us navigate the journey.
Exactly. We've covered so much ground. It's amazing how it all fits together, like a tapestry.
Awareness, empathy, choice, intuition, grounding, love, intention, gratitude, responsibility, doubt, patience. It's a lot.
It is. But it's all interconnected, these threads of spiritual sensitivity, creating something beautiful and strong.
And the journey continues. We've only just begun to explore what's possible.
That's right. There's always more to learn, more to experience, more to uncover about ourselves and the universe.
I'm excited to see where this all leads. But for now, listeners, take a moment to breathe it all in. What's sticking with you? What feels important? We'll be back for the final part of our deep dive and explore how all this wisdom can actually change our lives, not just our heads. Back again, deep diving into spiritual sensitivity. And this part of the text, it really makes you think about the whole journey, not just the good parts.
Yeah, embracing the messy bits too. Especially, doubt.
Oh, yeah. Doubt. We talked about it before, how this text flips the script on doubt, makes it like a friend, not the enemy.
It's not something to be afraid of. It's totally natural, part of the process.
They even call it a friend. Like, whoa, that's a big shift, right? We're always told to fight doubt, ignore it. But what if it's trying to tell us something?
Exactly. Doubt can be a great teacher if we listen to it,
But how do we do that? I mean, I've had those times where I feel a strong intuition, then doubt pops up and I'm like, wait, what was I thinking? How do we tell the difference between doubt that's protecting us and doubt that's just holding us back?
That's where that discernment skill comes in, remembering. It's about seeing clearly the meaning behind what we're feeling. So when doubt shows up, ask yourself what's driving it. Is it fear or that this doesn't feel right feeling?
So we don't shut down the doubt, we get curious about it. Like, okay, doubt, what's your deal?
Exactly. Figure out where it's coming from, then you can decide if it's worth listening to.
And sometimes the best thing to do is just wait. Be patient,
Right?
right?
Absolutely. That whole divine timing thing, it's tough, I get it. We want things to happen NW.
But this text is like, nope, chill out. Things happen when they're supposed to, which is hard when you're excited.
It is. But think about it. Forcing a flower to bloom before it's ready. What do you get? A messed up flower. Better to let it unfold naturally.
So patience is more than just waiting around. It's about trusting the timing, even when we don't understand it.
You got it. Trusting that even when we can't see it, things are moving, growing behind the scenes.
Faith, that's a big part of this, isn't it? Believing that the universe has got our back.
It is. And the more we practice that faith, the more we see it working in our lives.
Yeah.
Those synchronicities, those moments where it's like, whoa, how did that happen?
Yeah, it's like we're learning to recognize the signs, the whispers from the universe.
And as we get better at that, we realize how connected everything is, how our actions have ripple effects.
This text is really clear about that, right? More sensitivity means more responsibility.
Absolutely. Our choices matter, our words matter, even our thoughts matter.
Wow, that's a powerful thought. It's like we're not just along for the ride. We're actively creating the reality around us.
That's it. And when we get that,
Yeah.
it changes everything. Our purpose, our desire to make a difference.
You know, thinking back on everything we've talked about, it's amazing how it all connects, right? Like we've been climbing a mountain and now we can see the whole landscape spread out before us.
Love that analogy.
Yeah.
And the view from up here, it's breathtaking. We
Right.
see those connections so much more clearly now.
Like we're tuning into a whole new channel, one that broadcasts love, wisdom, compassion.
And from that place, all kinds of amazing things become possible. Synchronicities, right place, right time. It's like magic.
It is kind of magical. And that's what's so exciting about this whole spiritual sensitivity thing. It's not just about feeling good. It's about tapping into a power that can change the world.
Yes, we're not just watching the show, we're part of the show. We're co-creating with the universe.
So as we wrap up, what's the one thing you want listeners to walk away with?
That this is a journey always unfolding. It's not about reaching some final destination. It's about enjoying the ride.
Trusting the process.
Exactly. Trusting your intuition, your soul, and knowing that you have everything you need inside you already.
Beautifully said. And listeners, remember, even small steps count. Start where you are with what feels right for you.
Maybe it's meditation. Maybe it's spending time in nature. Maybe it's just listening a little closer to that inner voice.
Whatever it is, keep exploring, keep trusting, keep growing. Thanks for joining us on this incredible deep dive into spiritual sensitivity. Until next time, remember, you are powerful, you are connected, and you are loved.